أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل فأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. صدق الله العظيم. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Have you not seen how Allah dealt with the people of the elephant? Did he not thwart with the scheme and send fox a bird against them that pelted them with stones of baked clay and rendered them like the folder left in manger after being eaten by cattle? Salawat.
Jazakallah. Now I would like to invite Arslan to recite Hadith Qissa. Salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. An Fatimah al-Zahra alayha as-salam binti Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi qala sami'tu Fatimata annaha qalat دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض أيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبته من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالغساء اليماني فخطيني به فأتيته بالغساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلاله كأنه بدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحات طيبات كأنها رائحات جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن عليه السلام نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي يا الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحات طيبات كأنها رائحات جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وقل نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت كسائي؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافعه أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت كسائي، فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام، وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن عليه السلام ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحات طيبات كأنها رائحات أخي وابن عم رسول الله صلى الله عليه. فقل نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت كسائي. فأقبل علي عليه السلام نحو الكسائي وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت كسائي؟ فقال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وزيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكسائي، ثم أتيت نحو الكسائي وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكسائي؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت كسائي، فلما تملنا جميعا تحت الكسائي أخذ بأبي رسول الله وطرفي الكساء وأمي بيديه اليمنى إلى السماء، فقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وخمتي، لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم، وعدو لمن عادمهم، ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم إني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنيات ولا أرضا مدحيات ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت كسائي. فقال الأمين جبرائيل عليه السلام يا ربي ومن تحت كسائي؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت نبوتي ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها صلى الله عليه وبعلها وبنوها عليه السلام. فقال جبرائيل عليه السلام يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم، قد أذنت لك. فحبتك الأمين جبرائيل عليه السلام، فقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله لعل علي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحيات والإكرام ويقول لك عزيز وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماعا مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلاكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين الوحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. وقال النبي والذين بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم رحمة وخفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفات شيعتنا رب الكعبة. وقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبي واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جميع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيهم معموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغفوم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
جزاکاللہ سلام. خلوص دل کی روشنائی لے کر بدیدائے تر حسین لکھنا. تم ایسا کرنا کتاب دل کے ورق ورق پر حسین لکھنا. حروف خوشبو کے پھول بن کر تمہارے سینے میں کھل اٹھیں گے. تم ایسا کرنا کہ اپنی آنکھوں اور اپنے لب پر حسین لکھنا. وہ پرچیاں، وہ چمکتے خنجر، وہ تپتے صحرا پکارتے ہیں. تم ایسا کرنا کہ کربلا کے بدن پہ جا کر حسین لکھنا. اذان دیں گی تمہاری آنکھیں، نماز مصرے ادا کریں گی. تم ایسا کرنا کہ رائے حق میں حسین پڑھ کر حسین لکھنا. اگر کتابت کا شوق ہو تو کتاب صبر و رضا میں راحت جہاں شہیدوں کا نام لکھنا. تو سب سے اوپر حسین لکھنا. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Now I would like to invite Qasim Ali to recite a speech. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. Hazrat Qasim was the youngest son of Imam Hussain, Hassan. Qasim was born in 47 AH, 3 years before his father was martyred. When Imam Hussain prepared to leave Medina in the month of Rajab 60 AH, Qasim's mother, Farba, asked Imam Hussain to take her and Qasim with him. Imam Hussain agreed. Hazrat Qasim, although only 13 years old, had, like his cousins On and Muhammad, learned fencing from Hazrat Abbas and Hazrat Ali Akbar. Hazrat Abbas was very fond of Hazrat Qasim. On the night before Ashura, when Imam Hussain was passing by Farba's tent, he heard Qasim say to his mother, "Mother, tomorrow Uncle Abbas, Ali Akbar and I will defend Imam Hussain. Mother, if I get killed, please do not weep for me." Farba replied, "My son, although I dearly love you, I shall not weep for you. Nothing will make me prouder than to see my son give his life for Islam." When Imam Hussain heard his conversation, he prayed to Allah to bless Hazrat Qasim and Farba. On Ashura day, after Anna Muhammad had fallen in the battlefield, Hazrat Qasim came to Imam Hussain and begged for permission to go and fight. Twice Imam Hussain refused, saying, "Qasim, you are young and your mother's only son." Hazrat Qasim was very disappointed. He went to his mother. When she saw her son so disappointed, she remembered that just before he died, Imam Hassan had written a letter, given it to Farba, saying, "If ever you find Qasim in difficulty, give him this letter." She gave Hazrat Qasim the letter. In the letter it was written, "My son Qasim, a day will come when my brother Hussain will be facing an enemy army of tens of thousands. That will be the day when Islam will need to be saved by a sacrifice. You must represent me on that day." Hazrat Qasim read the letter. He smiled. He rushed to Imam Hussain and gave him the letter. After reading the letter, Imam Hussain said, "Oh my brother's son, how can I stop you from doing what your father wanted you to do? Bismillah, go, Allah be with you." Imam Hussain tied Imam Hassan's turban on the head of Hazrat Qasim and helped him mount his horse. As Qasim was riding out, Imam Hussain said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun." Hazrat Qasim said, "Oh my uncle, do not be upset. I do not fear death. Death for Islam will be sweeter for me than honey." Hazrat Qasim came to the battlefield. He was a very handsome boy. When the enemy saw him, they began to murmur, "How can we kill someone whose face is shining like the moon?" In a loud and clear voice, Hazrat Qasim introduced himself and cried out for a challenge of single combat. He killed several famous warriors who came forward. Every time he fell an enemy, Hazrat Qasim would stand on his stirrups, look behind, and wave to Hazrat Abbas, just as a pupil would seek approval of his teacher on any assignment. Hazrat Qasim would proudly wave back. When the enemy saw his bravery and realized they could not possibly overpower him in single combat, they came from behind him, and one of them hit Hazrat Qasim on the head with a sword. Hazrat Qasim tried to go on fighting, but alas, he was so young and he was so very thirsty. He fell from his horse crying out, "Ya Ammaho, accept my last salams." Imam Hussain and Hazrat Abbas rode out. The soldiers tried to stop them. When finally they came to where Hazrat Qasim had fallen, they saw a dreadful sight. Hazrat Qasim's body had been trampled by the horses of the soldiers who had tried to stop Imam Hussain and Hazrat Abbas. Hazrat Abbas was so angry when he saw this that he began to shake with fear. He took out his sword and wanted to attack the enemy. Imam Hussain restrained him, saying, "Abbas, have patience, dear brother. Do not give them an excuse for saying that we attacked them first." It is reported that Imam Hussain took off his abab and spread it on the ground and gathered the pieces from the gown as one gathers flowers from a garden. Salah.
Jazakallah Qasim. And before I continue, I have a share that I would like to recite. कि मोहम्मद से वफा तूने तो हम तेरे हैं, कि मोहम्मद से वफा तूने तो हम तेरे हैं, ये जहां चीज है क्या लौह कलम तेरे हैं. Please recite salawat. Now I would like to have Murtaza Abbas to come and give a speech on Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He was forced to submit to oppression, but he stood against it. He showed how to live and die with honor. He sacrificed everything to revive the golden valleys of Islam. He kindly welcomed the needy to his doorstep. He was loved then and adored now. He was Hussein, the son of Ali and Fatima. Peace be upon them all. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah, Murtaza. Next, I will invite Abbas and Hassan Raza to do a murkabat. Salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. Every moment, everybody. Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. When you are in sorrow, recite Nabe Ali. Then you will feel that you are close to Mawla Ali. If you want to stay happy, Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. Every moment, everybody, Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. Every love, every moment, everybody, Ali, Ali, say Ali, Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. They will go to heaven, the ones who love Ali, and they will go to hell, the ones who don't love Ali. Prophet is saying definitely, Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. Every moment, everybody, Ali, Ali, say Ali, 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 say Ali, Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. We love you, Mawla Ali. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah. Okay. दुश्मन हमारे गुजरेंगे दोज़ख की गली से, हुसैनियत का खून करके उलझते हैं जली से, नारों से नदरनों से नरेली से, सुधरेंगे ये तो जुल्फ़िकार गली से. Please recite salawat. Now I would like to invite Abbas Raza to give a speech on heaven. Please recite salawat.
Paradise is a place beyond thought or imagination. Brief descriptions of it have reached us through the Quran, mainly in Surah Rahman and Sunnah. After leaving this world, you will wait to be called on and will present yourself in front of Ridwan, the most handsome angel who is given the task to admit people into paradise. We have assured that heaven is a place with never-ending place of happiness with no time limit, no feelings of insecurity and anxiety, and no fear of ever being expelled. As you enter heaven, you will be served your first meal. The food and drinks of paradise only resemble the food and drinks of this world in name, but in shape, form, and taste they are different. Each bright bite from the dates, olives, grapes, figs, bananas, and pomegranates of paradise will taste differently, and from each a different aroma will be admitted. These fruits, as well as all food, will be available at any time. Their availability will not depend on seasons or productions. There will also be no pits or fields to disturb you and no garbage cans around. In fact, there is no hunger in paradise, and you will never worry about punishing yourself by dieting or weight loss again. The food of paradise does not need to be cooked or prepared, so women will not spend half their lives in the kitchen. The food does not rot, nor does it cause food poisoning, or nor does it transform into waste in our bodies. It is known that you will be given a flawless body with no disabilities or sickness. You will also find yourself to be as tall as Prophet Adam, as handsome as Prophet Yusuf, and have the beautiful voice of Prophet Dawood, and the same age of Prophet Isa at 33, and the noble character of Prophet Muhammad. There are 3 levels of paradise. The lowest level is Jannatul Mawa, the middle level is Jannatul Adnan, and the highest level is Jannatul Firdaus. Each stage can accommodate the entire mankind, and the distance between each is the distance between the earth and the sky. The garden of the lowest ranking patient will be 10 times the size of this world. After the first meal, you will be taken to your home. As you travel, wondering which garden is yours, you will notice that the sand is not made of dirt, it is pure saffron. The gravel is made of pearls and rubies, and the buildings are made of transparent gold and silver. Even the richest man on earth cannot purchase a single brick of paradise with all the money in the world. When you finally reach your garden, you will find the most gorgeous woman or man, the likes of which you have never seen. There a single man will be granted the strength of 100 men. He will embellish himself with lavish jewelry like crowns and bracelets. Women will be given whatever they desire. Best of all, no one will consider evil. An ordinary palace is a huge pearl 60 meters tall, carved out within, having 70,000 rooms, and built in such a way that every room is completely private. The silken couches will be elevated, and hundreds of young lads will be there to serve you, bringing whatever you desire at a simple thought. No such remote control has been created in the world. All traces of jealousy, hatred, greed, and pride will be removed from everyone in these huge social gatherings. There will be no problems, anxiety, backstabbing, breakups, divorce, or any kind of tension in paradise. The best part is that there is no waking up in the morning to rush to work in order to clock in on time, to meet your monthly commitments, or to liking the nonsense of your boss. In fact, in paradise there is no tiredness, sleep, or night. Paradise will not be lit by the sun giving off nuclear rays, but it will be lit by the shimmering light of the Arsh itself. It will be as gentle as the rays just before dawn. The best part of paradise is that you will be with everyone you love, past and present. Have everything you want with no fear of death for anyone, nor scarcity of pleasures. Paradise is a pure place reserved for only the pure. It is reserved for those who do not seek arrogance or power in this world, who have iman, faithfulness, and good character, and who realize the ticket to paradise is undergoing the temporary hardships of this world. Salawat.
Jazakallah Abbas. Now I would like to invite Brother Jawad for a presentation. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, most beneficent, most merciful. All praises belong to Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Afterwards, honors and salutation goes to Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his pious and holy progeny. The topic of our discussion for today I've chosen is who is Hussein. So before I give my presentation, I want to ask all the youngsters for this question. Who is Imam Hussein? Who can answer me? Tell me something about him. Anyone? No one knows anything about him? Really? Yes.
Imam Hussein was the son of Imam Ali who was the first Imam.
Yes.
And Imam Hussein was the third Imam.
Yes, definitely.
And he was one of the first Imams to have a brother to be an Imam.
Yes.
And was the one Imam who gave sacrificing Karbala.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else? Does anyone know why the whole event of Karbala occurred? Yes, please.
Save Islam.
Absolutely. Like Brother Hassan said, and sorry, I'm kind of under the weather. Imam Hussein is the third of our Imams, and we believe in the 12 Imams. He was born in 626 CE. He was about 4 years old, 4.5, at the time of martyrdom of Prophet Muhammad. He was born in Medina, which is currently Saudi Arabia. Back in that day, it was known as Hijaz. He was martyred in 680 CE in Karbala at the age of 53. He's from the progeny of Prophet Ibrahim through Prophet Ishmael. Currently, he has most literature, poetry written about as a single individual in most languages, most known languages. And as most of you guys probably know, that at the Arba'in in Karbala, even a few days ago, it was the largest peaceful gathering in human history. About 20 million people this year, and Arba'in of January this year was about 17 to 18 million people. This is a picture from Karbala. So why do you think so many people are attracted towards Imam Hussein? So many people are inspired by him, and that's one of the things after knowing about Imam Hussein, know what happened in Karbala, his character, his personality, his piety, his knowledge, his spirituality, his generosity. Once people, not only Shias, people of other religions, once they get to know him, they get inspired by him, and that's what attracts so many people towards him. A little bit of from Quraysh, which is a tribe or clan, you could say it's most of a tribe, a family tree, through Prophet Ismail. It was two families, Banu Hashim and Banu Umayyah. From Banu Hashim, it's Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his cousin Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, who's married to Bibi Fatima al-Zahra. From them, they had 5 children. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Bibi Zainab, Bibi Kulthum, and Hazrat Mohsin, who was, before he was born, he was miscarried by Lady Fatima al-Zahra. And from the distant of, you can say, relative or distant in a family tree, from Banu Umayyah, which is about 5 or 6 generation of Prophet Muhammad. Abu Sufyan, who basically for his pretty much entire life after Prophet Muhammad announced his prophethood, fought against the Prophet. He tortured Prophet Muhammad. He exiled them basically for 3 years outside of Mecca. Then afterwards, he tried to kill Prophet Muhammad. When Prophet Muhammad migrated, that's when the Hijrah year began. Afterwards, he fought Prophet Muhammad again in the Battle of Badr, Uhud, and several other battles. He couldn't defeat Prophet. He was still on Kufr until Prophet Muhammad conquered Mecca, and by conquering, he did not take out his sword. He put on the ihram, which is a dress of Hajj, and walked in the Mecca with his, some say 1,000 or 10,000 companions. That's when Abu Sufyan hypocritically embraced Islam from his son Muawiyah. Muawiyah was his second son, I believe, and from him is the Yazid ibn Muawiyah, who basically became the second caliph of the Umayyad dynasty. This is just a brief of who is Imam Hussein and who's Imam Hussein and who's Yazid from the family background. What led to Karbala is basically, like I said, Abu Sufyan's hypocrisy, fighting against Islam, fighting against Prophet Muhammad his entire life. Then the power, once the second caliph, Umar bin Khattab, became caliph, he made Muawiyah, the son of Abu Sufyan, governor of Syria, which is current day Syria. Back in the day, Syria was Jordan, Israel, Palestine, and 2 more countries. So it was a huge land close to Rome. Muawiyah was married to a Christian lady of a Roman background, so Yazid was basically half whatever Muawiyah's religion was and half Christian. He has close ties to Romans, and that's how he became so powerful, basically through Roman Empire. So he had part of Muslim Empire and part of Roman Empire. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has said Hassan and Hussein are the leaders of the youth of paradise. And this hadith, Prophet Muhammad said so many times that nobody could refute, and certain hypocrites that try to come up with certain hadiths equal to this hadith. But our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan Askari, was asked about that, that so-and-so is the leader of all people. So Imam Hassan Askari said, there will be no, like the young boy who just led a speech about paradise. Basically, there will be no old people in paradise. So that hadith is obviously fabricated. Everyone will be youth, and our leader in paradise will be Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. And also, Prophet Muhammad knew about the martyrdom of the assassination of Imam Hussein, and he basically said that as a result of the assassination of Hussein, such a warmth will be kindled in the hearts of the believers that shall not become cold until the day of resurrection. And this is the proof that of Prophet Muhammad's word, that we are the proof, all of us, the people who go to Karbala, that in our hearts is the warmth, is the love for Imam Hussein that is continuously increasing each year. And like I said earlier, it is not just the Muslims who are inspired or who are have affected by Imam Hussein. Our current president, President Obama, has said that he was inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. That's what inspired him to run for public office. Dr. King have said that he was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's peaceful march of independence of India, where he took 72 people of his party. And Mahatma Gandhi has said that he was inspired by Imam Hussein how to achieve victory while being oppressed. That's one of the reasons he took the 72 of his companions in the march against British royalty during the independence, of India. He has also said, Mahatma Gandhi, who's the leader of, founding father of India, basically have said that my admiration for the noble sacrifice of Imam Hussein as a martyr abound, because he accepted death and the torture of thirst and for himself, his sons, and his whole family, but did not submit to unjust authority. I learned from Hussein how to achieve victory while being oppressed. My faith is that the progress of Islam does not depend on the use of sword by its believers, but the result of the supreme sacrifice of Imam Hussein. If India wants to be a successful country, it must follow in the footsteps of Imam Hussein. If I had an army like the 72 soldiers of Hussein would have won freedom for India in 24 hours. Basically, that was from his speech, which he gave during that march. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the first Prime Minister of India, he also has said some inspiring words about Imam Hussein, that there's a universal appeal in his martyrdom. Hazrat Imam Hussein al-Islam sacrifices all, but he refused to submit to a tyrannical government. He never gave any weight to the fact that his material force was far less in comparison to that of an enemy. The power of faith of his greatest force, which regards all material force as nothing, the sacrifice is a beacon of light for guidance for every community and every nation. Imam Hussein's sacrifice is for all groups and communities, an example of the path of righteousness. And by this, basically, he was a learned man. He knew about, I'm talking about Nehru, he knew about the history, what happened, what occurred in Karbala. And many said there were people who, even of Hindu background, who joined Imam Hussein during the Battle of Karbala. Dr. Radhakrishna, who was the first vice president of India, have said that through Imam Hussein, though Imam Hussein, gave his life almost 1300 years ago, but his indestructible soul rules the heart of people even today. And absolutely. This can be seen basically, if you go on YouTube, you can see basically there are people who commemorate a march for Imam Hussein, not only just in Karbala or in Pakistan, India, even in African countries, Australia, Sweden, Netherlands, some of the countries, South Africa, I never knew about it, but they recently had a majalis and julus for Imam Hussein. And inshallah, tomorrow in DC, we'll walk and try to tell people about who Imam Hussein was, and this come down to us as a responsibility. And those were a couple of people from India, subcontinental background. Reynold Nicholson, in the literary history of the Arabs in 1930, he wrote this book. In his book, he wrote, Hussein fell pierced by an arrow, and his brave followers were cut down besides him to the last man. Ahmadiyyan tradition, which, with rare exception, is uniformly hostile to the Umayyad dynasty, regards Hussein as a martyr and Yazid as his murderer. Absolutely. Imam Hussein, there is a group of people even today who believe that Yazid, Lanatullahi, was right for some reason. That they believe he was the right caliph, and Imam Hussein, as a grandson of Prophet, he was wrong. And they are also funded by Saudi Arabia. These people basically are fighting against their publishing literature, giving out lectures, putting it on YouTube, creating websites, writing articles, basically with this ideology, which even non-Muslims recognize. People who have learned history recognize that Imam Hussein was on the right path and acknowledge Yazid as his murderer. Edward Gibbons, who is another historian, wrote in his book, in a distant age and climate, the tragic scene of the death of Hussein will awaken the sympathy of the coldest reader. And this is another reason why so many people, because people with a little bit of humanity, with a little bit of compassion, when they know about Imam Hussein, they cry for Imam Hussein, knowing what tragic event that was. And that's what Edward Gibbons writes in his book, that it will awaken the sympathy in the coldest reader's heart. Again, coming back to those people basically who deny this fact, or people who are fighting against it, people killing Shias in Pakistan, in Bahrain, in Syria, in Iraq, all these Arab countries, basically, who are against Shias. In my opinion, in opinions of many, they lack humanity. Charles Dickens, who's a famous English novelist, wrote, "If Imam Hussein had fought to quench his worldly desires, then I do not understand why his sister, wife, and children accompanied him. It stands to reason, therefore, that he sacrificed purely for Islam." Absolutely, the main reason why Imam Hussein did take his children, his women to this battlefield was not just to basically just die in the desert, and then later on Yazidi army could have ruled. Basically, they did rule, and still several people believe in that Imam Hussein rules against the leader of his time. But if it wasn't for Bibi Zainab, it wasn't for the children, Bibi Sakina, we wouldn't have received the knowledge of what happened in that desert in Karbala, what happened, and we wouldn't have that sympathy and that the heartwarming of humanity in our hearts if it wasn't for them. And that's why we today have been practicing the Islam which is taught by Ahlul Bayt. Edward Brown, who's the professor of Arabic in the University of Cambridge, in his book, History of Persia, wrote, "A reminder of the blood-stained field of Karbala, where the grandson of the apostle of God fell at length, tortured by thirst and surrounded by the bodies of his murdered kinsmen, has been at any time since has been then sufficient to evoke, even in the most lukewarm and heedless, the deepest emotion, the most frantic grief, and an exaltation of spirit before which pain, danger, and death shrinks to unconsidered trifle." Again, he is another non-Muslim who basically praises the people who cry for Imam Hussein, basically people who remember Imam Hussein's tragedy every year. Charles Eaton, who in his book Islam and Destiny of Man wrote, to this day Hussein's death is commemorated annually by an outpouring of grief which leaves the Western observers appalled. But this grief has a universal significance. The Shias weep and wail not only for the death of this gallant doomed man, but also for a world in which such things can happen. Absolutely. In which the good are put down while the wicked prosper. They lament this cruel world's destruction of so much that is beautiful, noble, and precious. They grieve over the triumph of naked power and over this insult offered to bright hope. Absolutely. He basically summarized what Shias basically commemorate annually for Imam Hussein. We don't just cry that this tragic event occurred, but we cry that it occurred to such a beautiful and honored people. They were taken away from us, basically. And this is the reason, basically, we commemorate this tragedy every year and remember it every year. James Corn, who is another British author, in his book wrote, in his book History of China, under the chapter of Imam Hussein, the grandson of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, wrote, Hussein's companion faced 8 kinds of enemies. On the foresight was the army of Yazid, basically, which was ceaselessly raining down arrows. The 5th one was the sun of the Arabia that was scorching their bodies. The 6th foe, or the enemy, was the desert of Karbala, the sand of which were scorching like the heated furnace. The 7th and the 8th foes or the overpower hunger and the unbearable thirst. Thus, on those who fought with thousands of infidels in such condition has ended bravado. On such a people, no gallant hero can ever be preeminence. Again, these are some of the words of non-Muslims who basically I just described, who are affected by Imam Hussein and the tragedy of Karbala. Even today, this year, there were several Christian priests and people from the Vatican who visited Imam Hussein's shrine during the 10th of Muharram. This picture was basically published in one of the newspapers of Iraq. Even people of Hindu background, this is Sri Shankar Ravi, who's a Hindu priest, visited Imam Hussein a few years ago, again affected by the tragedy of Karbala. Now I'm going to conclude with a few of the sayings of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Although his entire life is full of wisdom and knowledge and spirituality and du'as, Imam Hussein have said that his message to non-believers or people basically of all religious backgrounds, if you do not believe in religion and do not fear the hereafter, then at least be free from tyranny and arrogance. This is a universal message which Imam Hussein has said, basically, even though people who don't believe in any religion or have thoughts of afterlife, but in this world at least live freely, live free of tyranny. And he has also said, I swear by God, I shall not surrender as a humiliated person and shall not escape like a slave. That's what he said during his journey towards Karbala. Some people worship God to gain his gifts. This is the worship of the merchant. Some worship him to avoid his punishment. This is the worship of a slave. Some worship him solely to show gratitude towards him. This is the worship of the free. It is a very close saying to Imam Ali's, who basically say, I do not worship because of the punishment, nor do I worship for the greed of paradise, but I worship because I find him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worthy of worship. And on his journey towards Karbala, Imam Hussein said, this is one of my favorite sayings, that, oh God, what did he find who lost you? And what did he lose who found you? Basically, this is again a universal message for people of all faith. Basically, faith, when people do have faith, their outpour or outcome on life is different. Basically, Imam Hussein is saying on, people who basically, what did he find who lost you? Person who doesn't believe in God, what exactly, other than losing his faith, what did he find? And what did he lose? Basically, who found you? This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? Sorry, it went a little over. All right, from Muhammad Ali Muhammad Sallallahu.
जज़ाकल्लाह जवाब वाले। जन्नत की आरज़ू में कहाँ जा रहे हैं लोग? जन्नत की आरज़ू में कहाँ जा रहे हैं लोग? जन्नत तो करबला में खरीदा हुसैन ने। दुनिया और आखिरत में जो रहना है चैन से, जीना अली से सीख लो, मरना हुसैन से। Please recite salawat. Now I would like to invite Shahbaz Ali to give a speech on Auna Muhammad. Please recite salawat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm going to talk about Anu Muhammad. Anu Muhammad were the sons of Bibi Zainab and Abdullah ibn Jafar. They were quite young and learned how to wield a sword and fight from Hazrat Abbas. When the followers of the Holy Family began sacrificing their lives for Islam, Anu Muhammad felt that it was their turn to go to the battlefield. They went to their mother, Bibi Zainab, to ask for her blessings. Anu Muhammad assured their mother that they would fight with such bravery, and that whenever she thought of them, she would remember how brave they were. Bibi Zainab wanted her brother to request to allow her two sons to fight for Islam and show their bravery. Imam Hussein stood there in silence. He looked at his sister, and he saw disappointment on her face. He saw tears forming around her eyes, and then said, "My beloved sister, you have never asked me for anything before. How can I say no to you now?" He turned to Anu Muhammad and said, "Go, my sons, be brave. I shall join you soon on your journey to the heavens." Bibi Zainab then held them close and kissed them goodbye. The boys raised their hands and said, "Fi aman Allah, mother." Bibi Zainab replied, "Bismillah, my sons. God be with you." The two boys rode out on the battlefield. They fought bravely. At one point, Omar, son of Saad, asked, "Who are these two youngsters? They fight like I've seen Ali, son of Abu Talib, fight." When he was told who they, he ordered his he ordered his soldiers to give up single combat and surround and kill the boys. Anu and Muhammad were attacked from all sides. Imam Hussein, Hazrat Abbas, and Hazrat Qasim stood by Bibi Zainab as she watched her sons fighting. Hardly a few minutes passed, and Anu fell from his horse and shouted for Imam Hussein. Just at that moment, another cry was heard, this time from Muhammad. Hazrat Abbas and Imam Hussein ran to the battlefield. Imam Hussein carried the body of Anu while Hazrat Abbas carried the body of Muhammad. Imam Hussein walked to Bibi Zainab's tent. He found her in sajda praying, "Oh my God, I thank you for accepting my sacrifice. My heart is filled with pride because my two sons have given their lives for your religion." Bibi Zainab came to the two bodies of her sons, addressing them, "My dear children, now I'm pleased with you, that you have proved your worth and laid down your lives for truth and pleased God and His holy prophet." Salawat.
Jazakallah. Now we'd like to call Brother Kumal and Brother Rizan to come up and recite the Nawa Dua al-Eid. Allahumma salli ala
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो। शुक्र सच शुक्र तेरा शब्द और शब्बीर दिए, शुक्र सच शुक्र तेरा शब्द और शब्बीर दिए। बेटियां किए ज़ैनब कुसुम मुझे, बाद इसकी मेरे पास एक दुआ के बदले। या इलाही मुझे अब्बास बेटा दे दे, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो। आईना सब्र शुजाअत का बनाना मेरा, आईना सब्र शुजाअत का बनाना मेरा, बहू मेरी ही तस्वीर हो बच्चा मेरा, उसको देखो तो नजर आया सरापा मेरा। या इलाही मुझे अब्बास बेटा दे दे, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो। कोई बेयार मददगार अगर हो जाए, कोई बेयार मददगार अगर हो जाए, इल्तिजा बहन मदद अपनी ज़बां पर लाए, मुझको आवाज़ को दी वो मदद को आए। या इलाही मुझे अब्बास बेटा दे दे, है तो अलमदार भी हो, जो मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जो मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो। मेरे मालिक मेरे होंठों पे जबाई ये दुआ, मेरे मालिक मेरे होंठों पे जबाई ये दुआ, मेरी आंखों में नजर आने लगी कर्ब बला, मेरे शब्बीर मुसीबत में गरा है तन्हा, या इलाही मुझे अब्बास बेटा दे दे, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो, जब मेरे घर में अलम है तो अलमदार भी हो। सलावत।
जज़ाकल्लाह। क्यों दुश्मनी है तुझको अलीयो हुसैन से, क्यों दुश्मनी है तुझको अलीयो हुसैन से, फुर्सत मिले तो पूछ कभी वालिदैन से। Please recite salawat. Now I would like to invite Misan Naqvi to give a presentation on the teachings of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Please recite salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Misam, and today I will be talking about a brief life history of our seventh Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq, and his contributions to the technology and education today, which has impacted us massively. A brief life history: his name was Jafar ibn Muhammad. His mother's name was Farba. His kunyat was Abu Abdullah. His title was Al-Sadiq. He was born in Medina at 83 AH. He died of poison in 148 AH, and he is buried in Baqi near his father. Imam Muhammad Baqir and his son Imam Jafar Sadiq knew that the Muslim world will be flooded with books of philosophers of Greece and Rome and Alexandria, and that Muslims would blindly accept everything they read, even though the theories were false. Thus, many of the false theories would catch their imagination, corrupt their mind, and keep them under darkness for centuries, which is actually what happened in the past. For example, the theory of Ptolemy, a Greek writer of Alexandria, is that the Earth is the center of the universe and the sun rotates around it, and the planets and the stars rotate around it too. The theory was accepted by Muslims as true, even though 100 years later the theory was proven incorrect. The father and son imams explained to their students who were to spread their teachings among the Muslims that the theories they had read of those philosophers were wrong, and pointed out their mistakes and presented their own correct theories. And prior to the translation of these subjects from Indian, Greek, and Persian into Arabic, because they were imams, which are representatives of Allah, they had the knowledge of the theories above the Greek and other philosophers. In a time in history, the imams had opened a school for more than 4,000 students. He taught the students the concepts of science, philosophy, mathematics, and technology. Imam Jafar Sadiq had a great impact on our world today. We as Shia youth have an obligation to do more research to find out about our imams. Thank you for listening, and Allah salawat. Next, I would like Husnain Ali to recite a mankabat. Salawat.
Please recite salawat. अली से पूछे फजीलत नमाज पढ़ने की, अली से पूछे फजीलत नमाज पढ़ने की, अली से पूछे फजीलत نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. جو کر رہا ہے مذمت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. نماز پڑھنی ہے گروار سے نماز کے ساتھ. نماز پڑھنی ہے گروار سے نماز کے ساتھ. ابھی سے ڈال لو عادت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. میں چاہتا ہوں علی کے علی سے بات کروں. میں چاہتا ہوں علی کے علی سے بات کروں. مجھے یوں رہتی ہے عجلت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. میں جب مصلی پہ آؤں تو دل یہ کہتا ہے. میں جب مصلی پہ آؤں تو دل یہ کہتا ہے. لے کر بلا سے اجازت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. اے منکران نبیوں علی جو کہتے ہیں. اے منکران نبیوں علی جو کہتے ہیں. نہیں ہے کوئی ضرورت نماز پڑھنے کی. اگر بغیر ولایت ہو پھر تو ٹھیک ہے یہ. اگر بغیر ولایت ہو پھر تو ٹھیک ہے یہ. نہیں ہے کوئی ضرورت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. میں قبلہ رو تھا زریح حسین سامنے تھی. میں قبلہ رو تھا زریح حسین سامنے تھی. دوبالا ہو گئی لذت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. صفِ نماز پہ آؤں کہ فرش ماتم پر. صفِ نماز پہ آؤں کہ فرش ماتم پر. میں کر کے آتا ہوں نیت نماز پڑھنے کی. علی سے پوچھے فضیلت نماز پڑھنے کی. نماز پڑھتی رہی کربلا میں ان کی نماز. نماز پڑھتی رہی کربلا میں ان کی نماز. جو کر رہے تھے حفاظت نماز پڑھنے کی. अली से पूछे फजीलत नमाज पढ़ने की, खुदा से मांग तकल्लुम अली अली का सिला, खुदा से मांग तकल्लुम अली अली का सिला, अली से मांग ले उजरत नमाज पढ़ने की, अली से पूछे फजीलत नमाज पढ़ने की।
Next, I would like to invite Zaid Mohsen to recite Surah Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
Now I would like to invite Ali Mohsen to give a speech on Karbala. Please recite Salawat.
It was a peak of the mischief and virtues and chains just lost, a journey, a poem about Karbala. It was peak of the mischief and virtues and chains just laws were sacked with rules insane. As the Tratans on the rise and mass confused, offered just lust with lies and faith abused. Thus the signs instigated, time dictated, some souls elevated as Hussein navigated. In the name of God, for sake of Islam, for freedom of life and soul of Islam, he gave greatest sacrifice, but not his hands, with the members of his kin and many of his friends. On and Muhammad, with the villain known as Heather, those children were slain. Now the feeling of the mother. Then the pride of the Hashims were back from the river, and the Tratans made sure he did not deliver. They cut off his arms, but spear was set, till an arrow hit the back, only eyes got wet. Fell Abbas from the horse, with no hands to support, then Hussein rushed to shore for a brother's end resort. Those children who waited with the patience were told, the thirst in the camp was 3 days old. Soon Akbar came down with spear in his chest, which your father had before, so spear was the test. Now the leader was alone as he called for the help, then a baby fell down as a response from the crib. This thirsty poor infant was the son of Imam, who acknowledged his father and the call of Imam. Thus Hussein brought him for some water in the field, fields, and showed them baby's dry lips and appealed. But the 6 months old got an arrow so thick that turned him over and tore his neck. Asghar went to sleep with his father in no fear, with the cradle on fire and heads on spear. And his sister by the camp saw the horror of this trip, as a knife tore the neck where the Prophet put his lips. And a child full of tears, with her tiny bleeding ears, bruises on her face, and her thirst souls flew. She ran for her father, who lay beheaded, and cried for the uncle, for help she needed. Zainab looked for her in the sadness of that night, did inquire every soul in the land of plight. But Sakina was sleeping on the chest of a body with the love of her father from fragrance of his body. Then the camp pushed down while flames went up. Little children rushed out as their dresses lit up. It was night full of cries with the innocent quests. Shattered were the dreams and broken were the nests. Our defenses lay to rest after trials and the tests. Left to face one imam, even history would detest. With the depth of the patience and the zenith of bravery, the zenith of bravery, Islam was rescued forever from the slavery.
جزاک تا حشر یہ خیال میرے دل کا چین ہے، تا حشر یہ خیال میرے دل کا چین ہے، یعنی میری نجات کا ضامن حسین ہے. Please recite salawat. Now I would like to invite Muhammad Junaid to recite the Masaib of the Jahlim of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Please recite salawat.
ایک سورہ فاتحہ کربلا کے تمام شہیدوں کے لیے. نام عباس تھا جس کا وہ علمدار وفا، لشکر شاہ کی بگڑی کو بنانے والا. گر گیا ایک علم ہاتھوں سے مجبوری میں، کن ہاتھوں میں علم دے گیا جانے والا. صلوات. یہ کربلا کے شہیدوں کے چیلوں کے دل تھے. یزیدیت ہار گئے، مولا جیت گئے. آج بھی زینب کے فتح کے دن ہیں. یہ کیسے دن آئے؟ یہ سارے مرد کہاں گئے؟ یہ سارے چھوٹے چھوٹے بچے کہاں گئے؟ یہ سارے سامان کہاں لٹ گیا؟ یہ سارے گودیاں کیوں خالی ہیں؟ ہمارا سلام ہے بی بی سکینہ پر، پانی جو کبھی مرتا ہے نہ پیتی ہے سکینہ. زنجیروں کو عابد کی بھی ہوتی ہے سکینہ، بابا کی جدائی میں نہ سوتی ہے سکینہ. روتی ہے آخ روتی ہے، بس روتی ہے سکینہ. ہمارا سلام ان بیویوں پر جن کو رونے نہیں دیا گیا. ہمارا سلام ہو بی بی سکینہ پر کہ جب وہ روتی تھی تو شمر آ کر ان کے پیٹھ پہ تماچے مارتا تھا. ہمارا سلام ہو بی بی زینب پر کہ جب وہ روتی تھیں تو شمر آ کر ان پہ تماچے مارتا تھا. اور ہمارا سلام ہو ہمارے چوتھے امام پر کہ وہ ایک ہی 2 سال نہیں روئے بلکہ پورے 40 سال خون کے آنسو روئے. پوچھنے والے نے پوچھا کہ مولا کیا کوئی وہ منظر رلاتا ہے کہ جب علی اکبر کے سینے پر برچی لگی؟ مولا نے کہا نہیں. پوچھنے والے نے پھر پوچھا کہ مولا کیا کوئی وہ منظر لاتا ہے کہ جب قاسم شہید ہو گئے اور وہ گوئے سے نیچے گر گئے، ان کے لاش کے ٹکڑے ٹکڑے ہو گئے؟ مولا نے کہا نہیں. لیکن ہائے میری پھوپھیوں کو چادر، ہائے میرے پھوپھیوں کو پردہ. ارے ہمارا سلام ہو ان بیویوں پر کہ جب وہ شام کے بڑے بازار گزری تو لوگ ان پر پتھر مار مار کے غص میں کرتے تھے. بیویاں چلاتی تھیں ہائے بابا ہائے نانا، اگر آج عباس زندہ ہوتے تو یہ لوگ ہمیں پتھر نہ مارتے. ارے اگر آج حسین اور علی اکبر زندہ ہوتے تو کوئی ہمارے سروں سے چادر نہ چھینتا. ارے کربلا کے خاک نشینوں تم پر ہمارا سلام ہو. صلوات.
MashaAllah. Now I'd like to invite Qasim to read it. Salawat.
بانو کہاں تلاش کرے اپنے لال کو، جنگل میں مار ڈالا ہے بانو کہاں تلاش شبیر میرے پاس ہے صدقے کو بس یہی شبیر لا رہے ہیں میدان سے دیکھیے اپنے ضعیف کاندھوں پہ 18 سال کو بانو کہاں تلاش کرے اپنے لال کو بانو کہاں تلاش شبیر میرے پاس ہے صدقے کو بس یہی جھولے سے لال کے دے دیا بانو نے لال کو بانو کہاں تلاش
MashaAllah. Now we're going to start with the matam. So I would now like Bakr to recite an oha. Bakr. Ya Hussein.
Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
بازار میں ستمگر زینب کو لا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بازار میں ستمگر زینب کو لا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ آلے نبی کو ظالم در در پھیرا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بازار میں ستمگر زینب کو لا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ سیدانیاں تو شہ کے ماتم میں رو رہی ہیں سیدانیاں تو شہ کے ماتم میں رو رہی ہیں اور بے حیا ستمگر خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بازار میں ستمگر زینب کو لا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ ایک عشق پر ہے جن کے دونوں جہان صدقے ایک عشق پر ہے جن کے دونوں جہان صدقے ہنس ہنس کے شام والے ان کو رلا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بازار میں ستمگر زینب کو لا رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بے خوف ہو کے ظالم غاصب غلام سادے بے خوف ہو کے ظالم غاصب غلام سادے شکی یتیم بچی پہ ظلم ڈال رہے ہیں عباس کو بلاؤ بازار میں ستمگر ज़ैनब को ला रहे हैं अब्बास को बुलाओ बाजार में से तुम ज़ैनब को ला रहे हैं या
Hussein. Born in the holy Kaaba, brought to this world for our sake. Who would have thought that you would go through such pain and heartbreak? Your family would endure injustice like none other. Tears still flow for your sons as per hadith from their mother. Mawla, 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 Mawla. As orphan Fatima stood so helpless at her front door, she asked the men to leave, but her request was just ignored. That door was broken through and your life was shattered in two. You lost your unborn son and you lost your precious wife too. Mawla, 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 Mawla. Riding the shoulders of the Holy Prophet of Allah, clearing the idols from the sacred pure house of Allah. A fearsome warrior you were and plowed it showered. Though Ibn Muljam struck you in sajda, such a coward. Mawla, 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 Mawla. After the Prophet's passing, you were bound like a prisoner, dragged through the streets so passing. People thought you're a sinner. Your daughter had the same fate. She too was made to suffer, dragged through the streets with such hate. Did they not recognize her? Mawla, 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 Mawla. Then there was that son of yours whom you saw from a brave tribe. Karbala would soon come when Hussein needs him at his side. You thought you could help them on the plains of Karbala. Instead you had to witness and wait for them in Jannah. Mawla, Mawla, Mawla.
Now, I would like to giving him birthday.
Assalamualaikum Rasulullah, Assalamualaikum Ya Habiballah, Assalamualaikum Ya Nabi Allah, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Assalamualaikum Ya Ibn Abi Talib, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Assalamualaikum Ya Fatimah Zahra, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Assalamualaikum Ya Aba Abdullah, Assalamualaikum Ya Ibn Rasulullah, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Assalamualaikum Ya Gharibul Ghurba, Assalamualaikum Ya Nisan Fus, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Assalamualaikum Ya Sahibi Asr wa Taman, Assalamualaikum Ya Sharikatul Quran, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.